Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yatha Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Scha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Saganaraganatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Paran Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishikam Vidam Scha Om Ajnanatimarandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunvidam Yena Tasma Shri Gurave Namah Gorva Bhistam Supurakam Garganara Sisha Sambhushitam Chintya Chintya Samasta Veda Nipunam Shri Rupa Patanugam Govindabhidam Ujwalam Bharatanum Bhaktyan Vidam Sundaram Bande Vishwaguruncha Divyat Bhagavat Premna Vibijapradam Devam Divyatanam Suchandabananam Balarka Chelanchitam Sandrananda Puram Sadekavaranam Vairagya Vidyamburim Sri Siddhanta Nidim Subhakti Lasitam Saraswatanam Baram Bandetam Shubharam Mareka Sharanam Nyashishvara Shridaram Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavenibhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Namo Mahabharanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gaurata Vishe Namah. So we're hearing from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita by Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, translation and commentary by Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupad. This is the Madhya-lila, chapter 8, talks between the Lord and Ramananda Raya. I'll begin with verse number 227. Nayam Sukapo Bhagavan Dehinam Gopika Sutaha Gyaninam Shatma Bhutanam Yatha Bhakti Matam Miha. The Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, the son of Mother Yashoda, is accessible to those devotees engaged in spontaneous loving service. But he is not as easily accessible to mental speculators, to those striving for self-realization by severe austerities and penances, or to those who consider the body the same as the self. This verse from Srimad Bhagavatam is spoken by Srila Sukadeva Goswami. It appears within a passage in which he glorifies Mother Yashoda and other devotees of Krishna by describing how they can subjugate him with their love. Ateva gopi bhava koryangikar ratridina chinte radha krishnara bihar. Therefore one should accept the mood of the gopis in their service. In such a transcendental mood, one should always think of the pastimes of Shri Radha and Krishna, So accepting the mood, this is conversation between Ramananda Raya and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and Ramananda Raya is progressively explaining about devotional service, first in Vidhi Marg, following rules and regulations, then Rag Marg with spontaneous devotion, and going through the different rasas of Sakya Ras, friendship, Vatsalya Ras, starting with Dasya Ras, servitude, then friendship, Sakya Ras, then Vatsalya Ras, parenthood, or as a guardian, and then conjugal love, or Madhurya Ras. So then it mentions of all the persons engaged in devotional service, the gopis have a particular high and exalted place. So we understand that in Vrindavan, you can say there's a very exclusive form of worship engaged between the residents of Vrindavan, and in particular the gopis and Krishna, and that's very among very exalted souls. But Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he's engaged in what's called Godavari Ras, that whereas the circle around Krishna in Vrindavan is very confidential, Mahaprabhu is distributing the service and spontaneity of Vrindavan. Mahaprabhu is giving through taking shelter of him, and that's called, there's Madhurya Ras, and then there's also Odarya Ras. Odarya Ras means the distribution of Mahaprabhu, what he's giving. Siddhadehe Chintikore Tahai Sevan Sakibhave Paya Radha Krishna Racharan. After thinking of Radha and Krishna and their pastimes for a long time, and after getting completely free from material contamination, one is transferred to the spiritual world. There, the devotee attains an opportunity to serve Radha and Krishna as one of the gopis. So this is an example given previously was that of the personified Vedas. There was a comparison. One was with Lakshmi Devi. Lakshmi Devi, she's in Vaikuntha worship, and Vaikuntha worship is characterized by awe and reverence. That is, the awe and reverence of Vaikuntha. It's done with respect and majesty. And that's compared with the spontaneity of Vrindavan. So Lakshmi Devi, she wanted to enter into the pastimes with Krishna. But she was unable to do so because she was unable to give up her, of course, she's the the goddess of fortune. She cannot give up her conception of majesty and awe and reverence, which is characteristic of the worship of Narayan in Vaikuntha. But the personified Vedas, they also had some desire to enter into the pastimes of Vrindavan. So they took shelter and followed the servitors of Vrindavan, particularly the gopis, and in the next birth they were able to take birth in Vrindavan and serve Krishna in that Madhurya Ras. So the idea is if you retain your ego in serving Krishna, if you're bound up by your ego, you will not be able to enter into the mood of spontaneity or let's see. The Vidyanagar and Radmarg. So to get beyond the boundaries of ego and to be able to enter into Radmarg, you have to give up your mundane conceptions. Gopi anugatya vina aishvarya gane bhajileha nahipai brajendra nandane. So the Vaikuntha worship is aishvarya gan, that's opulence, and the mood of Vrindavan is spontaneous attraction to the service of Radha and Krishna. Gopi anugatya bina aishvarya gyane majileha nahipai brajendra nandane. Unless one follows in the footsteps of the gopis, one cannot attain the service of the lotus feet of Krishna, the son of Nanda Maharaj. If one is overcome by knowledge of the Lord's opulence, he cannot attain the Lord's lotus feet, even though he is engaged in devotional service. Tahate drishtanta lakmi korila bhajan tatapina paila braje brajendra nandan. The unspoken example in this connection is the goddess of fortune, who worshipped Lord Krishna in order to attain his pastimes in Vrindavan. But due to her opulent lifestyle, she could not attain the service of Krishna in Vrindavan. Nayam Shriyonga Unitantarate prasara swaryoshitam nalina ganda rucham kutonya rasotsavesha bujadanda grihita kanta labda shisham yal udagad vraja sundarinam. When Lord Krishna was dancing with the gopis in the Rasa-lila, the gopis were embraced around the neck by the Lord's arms. This transcendental favor was never bestowed upon the goddess of fortune or the other consorts in the spiritual world, nor was such a thing ever imagined by the most beautiful girls in the heavenly planets, girls whose bodily luster and aroma resemble the beauty and fragrance of lotus flowers. And what to speak of worldly women who may be very, very beautiful according to material estimation. Etashuni prabhutare koila lingan, duijane, galagali, korana krandan. After hearing this, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu embraced Ramananda Roy, and both of them, embracing shoulder to shoulder, began to cry. Emata primaveshe ratri gonaila pratakale nija nija karye duhegela. The entire night was passed in this way in ecstatic love of God, and in the morning they both departed to tend to their respective duties. Vidaya samaye prabhu charane darya Ramananda Raya kohe vinate korea. Before departing from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Ramananda Roy fell to the ground and caught hold of the Lord's lotus feet. He then spoke submissively as follows. More kripa korite tomar ihanagaman dinadasha rohi shoda mora dushtaman. Sri Ramananda Roy said, "You have come here just to show me your causeless mercy. Therefore stay here for at least 10 days and purify my polluted mind. Toma vinanya nahi jiva udarite, toma vinanya nahi Krishna premadite. But for you there is no one who can deliver all the living entities. For you alone can deliver love of Krishna. Prabhu kohe ailana shune tomaragun, Krishna kata shune shuda koraita man." The Lord replied, "Having heard about your good qualities, I have come here. I have come to hear about Krishna from you and thus purify my mind." So Ramananda Roy said like that, but Mahaprabhu said that he was advised by Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya to find Ramananda Roy. So subsequently, actually, in the beginning of this chapter, it is said that that Mahaprabhu is like the ocean from which all Siddhanta and conclusive realizations come, and that Ramananda Roy is like a cloud, and the water is evaporated from the ocean and forms and fills up the rain cloud, and then the rain cloud, as rain, delivers the water back to the ocean. So all the conclusions come from Mahaprabhu, but Ramananda Roy becomes like the cloud that's pouring Mahaprabhu's, the true Siddhanta back to Mahaprabhu. And subsequently, when Mahaprabhu met with Rupa and Sanatan, later he told, "Whatever I'm saying is what I heard from Ramananda Roy." But Ramananda Roy, in the course of his chapter, he complains to Mahaprabhu that you're the Supreme Lord, Lord himself, and I'm just a conditioned soul. I'm like a Shudra. What can I say to you? But you're playing my tongue as one plays a string instrument. And then Mahaprabhu says, "Kiba vipra kiba nyasi Shudra kaninoa ye Krishna tattva veta seguru hoy." Krishna says, it doesn't matter what your material consideration or estimation may be, that you may be seen as a Shudra, or I may be seen as a sannyasi, and a vipra as a Brahman sannyasi, kiba vipra kiba nyasi Shudra keninoi. That doesn't matter. Jai Krishna tattva veta seguru hoy. But if one knows about the science of Krishna consciousness, Jai Krishna tattva veta seguru hoy, that person can be accepted as a guru. So at least in terms of what Mahaprabhu told to Rup Sanatan later when he met with him, whatever I'm saying is what I heard from Ramananda Roy. So in that verse, Mahaprabhu is saying that to Ramananda Roy, I'm accepting your conclusions as you are speaking as my guru. Prabhu kohe ailana shune tomaragun, Krishna kata shune shuddha koraita man. The Lord replied, having heard about your good qualities, I have come here. I have come to hear about Krishna from you, and thus purify my mind. Jai che shunilun, tai che dekilun tomara mahima, Radha Krishna prema rasa, gyanera tumisima. Now I have actually seen your glory. Now that I have actually seen your glories, what I heard about you is confirmed. As far as the pastimes of Radha and Krishna in a loving mood are concerned, you are the limit of knowledge. Dashadiner kakata javat amijiba tavat tomara sangha chadaite nariba. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu continued to say nothing of 10 days. As long as I live, I shall find it impossible to give up your company. So, I've heard, I believe this from Govinda Maharaj, that it is said that without the blessings of the gopis, one cannot really spread Krishna consciousness, a full understanding of Krishna consciousness with all the rasas. So, even Mahaprabhu may be Krishna himself, and he may be covered with the mood and the beauty of Srimati Radharani. Still, he wanted the blessings of the gopis in order to be able to present Krishna consciousness to everyone. So he went to meet with Ramananda Roy. Why? Ramananda Roy is Vishaka. So in that way he met with Ramananda Roy. Dasha diner kekata yavadami jiva tavatomara sangha charite nariba. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu continued to say nothing of 10 days. As long as I live, I shall find it impossible to give up your company. Nilachale tumiyami takiba ek sange suke ganaiba kala Krishna katarange. You and I shall remain together at Jagannath Puri. We shall pass our time together in joy, talking about Krishna and his pastimes. And this happened, although Ramananda Roy is grihasta and highly elevated in government service and had the income of rich man. Still, he approached the king, Maharaj Pratraparudra, and asked to be excused from his service. The king did so. He excused him to join with Mahaprabhu because the king was also very much attracted by Mahaprabhu. So Maharaj Pratraparudra said, yes, you go with Mahaprabhu along with Swarup Damodar and Ramananda Roy. They spent the last years of Mahaprabhu's time in this world discussing very beautiful conclusions of Krishna consciousness. And Ramananda Roy and Swarup Damodar joined with Mahaprabhu. And the king released Ramananda Roy from his material obligations, and not only that, gave him full pension without reduction in salary to continue the service of Mahaprabhu. You and I shall remain together at Jagannath Puri. We shall pass our time together in joy, talking about Krishna and his pastimes. Etabole duhe nija nija karya gela, sanya kale raya puna asya melila. And this way they both departed to perform their respective duties. Then in the evening, Ramananda Roy returned to see Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Anyonye miledu he nibrete basya, prashnotara goshtiko he anandita hoya. Thus they met time and time again, sitting in a secluded place and jubilantly discussing devotional service by the question and answer process. Prabhu Puche Ramananda Korana Utar Emata Se Ratre Kata Paraspar. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked the questions and Sri Ramananda Roy gave the answers. In this way, they were engaged in discussion throughout the night. Prabhu kohe kon vidya, vidya madhyasar, Raya kohe Krishna bhakti, Vina Vidyanagar. On one occasion, the Lord inquired, of all types of education, which is the most important? Ramananda Roy replied, no education is important other than the transcendental devotional service of Krishna. Krishna Bhakti. Aside from Krishna Bhakti, there is no worthy education. Kirti Gana Madhya Jivar Kon Bora Kirti Krishna Bhakta Bolia Jahar Hoy Kyati. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then asked Ramananda Roy, out of all glorious activities, which is the most glorious? Ramananda Roy replied, that person who is reputed to be a devotee of Lord Krishna enjoys the utmost fame and glory. Sampatira Madhya Jivar Kon Sampati Gani Radha Krishna Prema Jara Seboradani. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked, of the many capitalists who possess great riches, who is the topmost? So here it has the word capitalist, but among wealthy persons, who is the most wealthy? Who is it? And the word Dani is translated as capitalist. It can be said to be rich person. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked, of the many capitalists who possess great riches, who is the topmost? Ramananda Roy replied, he who is richest in love for Radha and Krishna is the greatest capitalist, or is the most wealthy person. Dukkha Madhya Kon Dukkha Hoy Gurutar Krishna Bhakta Viraha Vina Dukkha Nahi Dekipar. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked, of all kinds of distress, or of all kinds of unhappiness, of all kinds of distress, what is the most painful? Sri Ramananda Roy replied, apart from separation from the devotee of Krishna, I know of no unbearable unhappiness. Mukta Madhya Kon Jiva Mukta Koremani Krishna Prema Jarase Mukta Shiromani. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then inquired, out of all liberated persons, who should be accepted as the greatest? Ramananda Roy replied, he who has love for Krishna has attained the topmost liberation. Gana Madhya Kon Gana Jivar Nija Dharma Radha Krishna Prema Keli Jai Gitara Marma. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu next asked Ramananda Roy, among many songs, which song is to be considered the actual religion of the living entity? Ramananda Roy replied, that song describing the loving affairs of Shri Radha and Krishna is superior to all other songs. Shreya Madhya Kon Shreya Jiver Hoyasar Krishna Bhakta Sangabina Shreya Nahiyar. Then Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked, out of all auspicious and beneficial activities, which is best for the living entity? Ramananda Roy replied, the only auspicious activity is association with the devotees of Krishna. Kahara Smarana Jiva Koribe Anukan Krishna Nama Guna Lila Pradhana Smaran. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked, what should all living entities constantly remember? Ramananda Roy replied, the chief objects of remembrance are always the Lord's holy name, qualities, and pastimes. Jaya Madhya Jivar Kartavya Kon Dhyana Radha Krishna Padambuja Dhyana Pradhan. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu further inquired, out of many types of meditation, which is required for all living entities? Srila Ramananda Roy replied, the chief duty of every living entity is to meditate upon the lotus feet of Radha and Krishna. Sarvatyaja Jivar Kartavya Kahan Vas Brajabhumi Brindavana Jahan Lila Ras. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked, where should the living entity live, abandoning all other places? Ramananda Roy replied, he should live in the holy place known as Vrindavan or Brajabhumi, where the Lord performed his rasa dance. Shravana Madhya Jiver Kon Shrestha Shravan Radha Krishna Prema Keli Karna Rasayan. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked, out of all topics people listen to, which is best for all living entities? Ramananda Roy replied, hearing about the loving affairs between Radha and Krishna is the most pleasing to the ear. Upashyara Madhya Kon Upashya Pradhan Shrestha Upashya Jugal Radha Krishna Nam. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked, among all worshipable objects, which is the chief? Ramananda Roy replied, the chief worshipable object is the holy name of Radha and Krishna, the Hare Krishna mantra. Mukti Bhukti Vansheje Kahandu Hargati Stavara Deho Deva Deho Jaiche Avastiti. And what is the destination of those who desire liberation and those who desire sense gratification? Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked. Ramananda Roy replied, those who attempt to merge into the existence of the Supreme Lord will have to accept bodies like those of trees. And those who are overly inclined towards sense gratification will attain the bodies of demigods. Arasa gya kaka chushe gyana nimba fale rusha gya kokila kai premamra mukule. Ramananda Roy continued, those who are devoid of all transcendental mellows are like the crows that suck the juice from the bitter fruits of the neem tree of knowledge, whereas those who enjoy mellows, or those who enjoy taste rasa, are like the kokilas who eat the buds of the mango tree of love of Godhead. Abhagya Jnane Asvadye Shuka Jnan Krishna Premamrita Pan Kore Bhagyavan. Ramananda Roy concluded, the unfortunate empiric philosophers taste the dry process of philosophical knowledge, whereas the devotees regularly drink the nectar of love of Krishna. Therefore, they are the most fortunate of all. Emata Duijan Krishna Kata Rase Nritya Gita Radhane Koila Ratri Seshe. In this way, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Ramananda Roy passed the whole night relishing the mellows of Krishna Katha, topics about Krishna. While they were chanting, dancing, and crying, the night ended. Dohe Nija Nija Karye Chalila Vihane Sanyakale Rai Asim Milila Aradine. The next morning they both departed to perform their respective duties, but in the evening Ramananda Roy returned to meet the Lord again. Ishtagoshti Krishna Kata Kohe Katakan Prabhu Paradori Rai Kori Nibedan. That evening, after discussing the topics of Krishna for some time, Ramananda Roy caught hold of the lotus feet of the Lord and spoke as follows. Krishna Tattva, Radha Tattva, Prema Tattva Sar, Rasa Tattva, Lila Tattva, Vibhida Prakar. There's a variety of transcendental truths, which are called tattvas, the truth. Krishna Tattva, the truth about Krishna. Radha Tattva, the truth about Radharani. Prema Tattva, the truth about their loving affairs. Rasa Tattva, the truth about transcendental humors or rasas, and Lila Tattva, and the truth about the Lord's pastimes. That evening, after discussing the topics of Krishna for some time, Ramananda Roy caught hold of the lotus feet of the Lord and spoke as follows. There is a variety of transcendental truths. The truth about Krishna, the truth about Radharani, the truth about their loving affairs, the truth about transcendental humors, rasa, and the truth about the Lord's pastimes. Eta tattva mora chite koile prakashan brahmake beda jena paraila narayan. You have manifested all these transcendental truths in my heart. That is exactly the way Narayana educated Lord Brahma. In the beginning of the Srimad Bhagavatam, it says, Tane Brahma Hridaya Adikavaye Muyanti Suraya. That Krishna illuminated the heart of Brahma. So you have manifested all these transcendental truths in my heart. This is exactly the way Narayan educated Lord Brahma. Antarjami Ishwarer e riti hoye bahire nakohe bastu prakashe ridaye. Ramananda Roy continued, the super soul within everyone's heart speaks not externally but within. He instructs the devotee in all respects, and that is the way of his instruction. And this is the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, where that Ramananda Roy confirms what he just said. He says, this beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam is Janmadhyasya yaton vayaditaratas charteshva vigyasvarat tane brahma ridaya adikavaye muyanti yat suraya tejovari mridam yata vinimayo yatra trisargom risha dharma svena sada nirasta kuhakam satyam param dhimai. O my Lord, Sri Krishna, son of Vasudeva, O all-pervading personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. I meditate upon Lord Sri Krishna because he is the absolute truth and the primeval cause of all causes, and the creation, and the primeval cause of all causes of the creation, sustenance, and destruction of the manifested universes. He is directly and indirectly conscious of all manifestations, and yet he is independent because there is no other cause beyond him. It is he only who first imparted the Vedic knowledge unto the heart of Brahmaji, the original living being. By him, even the great sages and demigods are placed into illusion as one is bewildered by the illusory representations of water seen in fire or land seen on water. Only because of him do the material universes temporarily manifested by the reactions of the three modes of nature appear factual, although they are unreal. I therefore meditate upon him, Lord Sri Krishna, who is externally existent in the transcendental abode, which is forever free from the illusory representations of the material world. I meditate upon him, for he is the absolute truth. Ek samshaya mor achaye ridaye kripa kore kahamora tahara nishchaye. Ramananda Roy then said that he had but one doubt within his heart, and he petitioned the Lord, please be merciful upon me and just remove my doubt. Pahile deki lun tomar sanyasi swaru ebe toma deki mui shamagoparu. Ramananda Roy then told Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, at first I saw you appear like a sannyasi, but now I am seeing you as Shyam Sundar, the cowherd boy. Tomara samuke deki kinchana panchalika taragora kante tomar sarva anga data. I now see you appearing like a golden doll, and your entire body appears covered by a golden luster. Tahate prakata dekon savam shivadan nanabhave chanchalatahe kamalanayan. I see that you are holding a flute to your mouth, and your lotus eyes are moving very restlessly due to various ecstasies. Emata tomadeke hoy chamatkar akalpate kaha prabhu karana ihar. I actually see you in this way, and this is very wonderful, my Lord. Please tell me without duplicity what is causing this. Prabhu kohe Krishna tomar Gata prema hoy prema rasobhave janiha nisjoy. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu replied, you have a deep love for Krishna, and one who has such deep ecstatic love for the Lord naturally sees things in such a way. Please take this from me to be certain. So Mahaprabhu more or less evades the question, because Ramananda Roy said, first I saw you as sannyasi, then I saw you as Shyam Sundar, Lord Krishna. Now I'm seeing that you're the Lord covered with a golden luster, and you're holding a flute. Now what is causing me to see in this way? And Mahaprabhu says, oh, because you're have so much deep realization and love for Krishna, you see this way because you're a Mahabhagavata. So this is, Mahaprabhu is more or less evading the question. Mahabhagavata deki stavara jangama tahan hoy tara Sri Krishna swarana. A devotee advanced on the spiritual platform sees everything movable and inert as the Supreme Lord. For him, everything he sees here and there is but a manifestation of Lord Krishna. Stavara jangama deki na deki tara murti sarvatra hoy nija ishtadeva swarti. The Mahabhagavata, the advanced devotee, certainly sees everything movable and immovable, but he does not exactly see their forms. Rather, everywhere he immediately sees manifest the form of the Supreme Lord. So Mahaprabhu says, because you're a Mahabhagavata, you're seeing in this very advanced way. And then, Sarva Bhuteshu ya Pashyad Bhagavad Bhavanatmana Bhutani Bhagavati Atmani Esha Bhagavatotama. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu continued, a person advanced in devotional service sees within everything the soul of souls, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. Consequently, he always sees the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead as the cause of all causes and understands that all things are situated in him. So, I want to continue, but we have to prepare for today's program, the disappearance of Srila Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur. So tomorrow I'll take up from this point. It would be very nice to continue, but time, due to my tardiness, time is running out. So tomorrow we'll continue. Now we'll sing Hari Harai. So as I said, this is an evasive answer by Mahaprabhu and Ramananda Raya, understanding and seeing who Mahaprabhu really is. Then Mahaprabhu evades that by just saying, oh, you're a Mahabhagavata, so you see in this way. Because of your advancement, you're seeing. But tomorrow we'll hear how Ramananda Raya answers that question. Okay, answers that explanations of Mahaprabhu. A hint, he doesn't really accept it so much. He says, stop evading, I want to. Then Mahaprabhu reveals himself to Ramananda Raya and shows him as the combined form of Radha and Krishna. But we'll talk about that tomorrow. Okay. Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Jadavaya Nama Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Jadavaya Nama Jadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Nama Jadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Nama Gopal Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudan Gopal Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudan Giridhari Gopinatha Maranama Giridhari Gopinatha Maranama Sri Chaitanya Nityananda Sri Advaita Chandra Sri Chaitanya Nityananda Sri Advaita Jai Saparikara Shishi Guru Goranga Gandharvika Giridhari Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Manamansa Parabhaja Kachari Ashta Tara Sadashi Shimad Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramansa Jai Om Vishnupad Paramansa Parabhaja Kachari Ashta Tara Sadashi Shimad Srila Bhakti Tilak Nehri Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramansa Parabhaja Kachari Ashta Tara Sadashi Shimad Srila Bhakti Nirmalacharya Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramansa Parabhaja Kachari Ashta Tara Sadashi Shimad Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramansa Parabhaja Kachari Ashta Tara Sadashi Shimad Srila Bhakti Rakak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Sananta Saraswati Goswami Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Gaur Kishoredas Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Rupanaga Guru Varga Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Shri Rupa Sanatana Bhatta Ragana Shri Jiva Gopal Bhatta Das Ragana Shad Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai. Prem Sigo Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Harshivasni Shri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Jai Om Jai Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Ki Jai. Jai Jai Vishwavaranya Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupad ki jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Kusham Ashram Maharaj ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Shri Navadip Dham ki jai. Shri Mayapur ki jai. Saparshada Shri Nityananda Prabhu ki jai. Saparshada Shriman Mahaprabhu ki jai. Shri Kuladvip ki jai. Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat ki jai. Soquel Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Seva Ashram ki jai. Ganga Devi ki jai. Tulasi Maharani ki jai. Bhakti Devi ki jai. Shri Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Shri Radha Krishna Gopi Govardhan Shamakunda Radhakunda Kalindi Yamuna Jul ki jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. Jai Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Tirobhav Mahotsav ki jai. The divine disappearance day of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur ki jai. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol.
Srila Bhakti Pavan Janardan Maharaj ki